I am 63 years old and I am worth $3,200,000. And I need you to hear something that nobody is going to tell you. Not your financial advisor, not your boss, not the motivational videos you watch at 2 in the morning when you can't sleep. Nobody. I opened my closet this morning, same thing I do every single day, and sitting right there on the top shelf, still wrapped in its dust bag, is a brand new Italian leather briefcase. Gorgeous thing. Cost me $1,400. The price tag is still dangling from the handle because I never removed it. Never had a reason to. The closet smells like cedar. It always smells like cedar. That's what happens when your closet is perfectly organized and nobody ever touches anything inside it. The whole house smells like nothing, actually. Like clean countertops and empty rooms, and air that hasn't been disturbed by laughter in longer than I care to admit. The refrigerator hums behind me. That hum is the loudest sound in this house most days. I bought that briefcase the week I retired, a gift to myself. I thought I'd finally feel it, that moment, that arrival. 40 years of work and sacrifice and climbing, and I thought when I reached the top, I'd plant a flag and feel like a king. Instead, I'm standing in a silent house holding a briefcase I've never opened. And the only thing I feel is the weight of everything I got wrong. I am worth $3.2 million, and I have never felt more worthless in my entire life. Let me take you back. Let me tell you how a man ends up here. I was 23 years old when I got my first real job, a consulting firm downtown, 32nd floor. I remember walking in on the first day, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, that sharp smell of photocopier toner hanging in the air, and I thought, this is it. This is where men become important. I had a cheap suit and a cheaper tie, but I had something most people didn't. I had hunger. Not the good kind, the dangerous kind. The kind that eats everything around it and calls it ambition. I believed something back then, believed it with every cell in my body. I believed that when I had enough money, I would finally matter. That's the lie. That's the one they sell you so early you don't even realize you bought it. Money equals relevance. Wealth equals love. Success equals a permanent seat at the table. And I chased it. God, did I chase it. By 30, I was pulling in 6 figures. By 40, I had a corner office with a view of the city that made me feel like I owned it. I remember the cold leather of those boardroom chairs, the way my phone would ding with stock alerts all day long, the champagne toasts where I was always at the center. Everyone wanted my opinion. Everyone returned my calls. I felt needed. I felt indispensable. And I traded everything for that feeling. My wife's birthday, 1996. I was in a hotel in Dallas closing a deal. I sent flowers. She said it was fine. My daughter's first piano recital. I watched a 30-second video my wife recorded. I told myself I'd make the next one. I didn't. Friends invited me to dinners, to weekends away, to their kids' graduations. I said, next time. Things are crazy right now. Next time. That was my answer for 20 years. Next time. I returned phone calls days late, sometimes weeks, sometimes never. I believed, truly believed, that relationships could be paused and resumed whenever I was ready. Like voicemails. like they just sit there waiting for me to press play. You want to know what my life sounds like now? It sounds like a microwave. That's it. 3 beeps. Soup is ready. I eat it standing at the counter in a 4-bedroom house with nobody in it. 3 beeps. That is the sound that replaced the applause. Now let me tell you about the day everything changed. And I need you to listen closely here, because this is the part I replay every single night before I fall asleep in a bed that's too big for one person. My last day at the office. December 14th. I had imagined this day for years, decades even. I thought there would be a dinner, maybe a plaque, maybe the partners would stand up and say something about my legacy, about what I'd built, about how the place wouldn't be the same without me. I had given that company 40 years. 40. I had sacrificed weekends and holidays and the kind of ordinary Tuesday nights that, I now understand, are where real life actually happens. Here's what I got instead. A sheet cake from the grocery store. Vanilla. The kind with the frosting that's too sweet and leaves that greasy film on the roof of your mouth. It was sitting on the break room counter next to a stack of plastic forks and a 2-liter bottle of ginger ale that was already half flat. The fluorescent lights buzzed the way they always did, that faint electrical hum that I'd heard for 4 decades but never really noticed until that moment. The room smelled like stale coffee from the pot that had been sitting on the burner since 7 in the morning. It was now 4:15. Nobody had made a fresh pot. Nobody thought the occasion warranted it. 12 people showed up. 12. Out of a company of over 200. Some of them I barely recognized. A few of the younger ones stood in the back checking their phones, waiting for it to be over. My assistant, Linda, the woman who had sat 15 feet from me for 11 years, who had organized my calendar and screened my calls and known my coffee order better than my own wife did. She handed me a card, a generic card, cream-colored. Best wishes on your retirement, printed in gold foil on the front. I opened it and saw the signatures inside. Some people had just written their first names. 2 of them misspelled my last name. One person had written, "Good luck, Dave." My name isn't Dave. 12 minutes. That's how long the whole thing lasted. Someone made a short toast. Something about my dedication. I don't remember the exact words because they were the kind of words that aren't meant to be remembered. They were filler. They were polite noise. Then people drifted back to their desks, and I was standing alone next to a half-eaten sheet cake in a break room that smelled like burnt coffee and supermarket frosting. And for the first time in 40 years, nobody needed me to be anywhere. I drove home in silence. No radio, no phone calls, just the sound of the highway and my own breathing. I pulled into the driveway of my house, this big, beautiful house that I'd worked so hard to pay off, and I sat in the car for a while. I don't know how long. The engine was off and the car was getting cold, and I could see my breath forming in the air, and I just sat there. When I finally walked through the front door, I put my phone on the granite countertop in the kitchen, and I waited. See, for 40 years that phone rang constantly. 40, 50 calls a day sometimes. People needed decisions. People needed approvals. People needed me. That phone was proof that I mattered. It did not ring, not once. I sat at the kitchen table and I waited. 1 hour, 2 hours. The sun went down and the kitchen got dark, and I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat there listening to the clock on the wall. Tick, tick, tick. That clock had been there for years, but I'd never heard it before. There had always been too much noise, too many calls and emails and meetings. Now there was nothing, just the ticking. And I realized, sitting there in the dark, that the silence had a sound, and it was the loudest thing I had ever heard. That was the night I understood what I had done. I had spent 40 years making myself essential to a machine, and the moment I stepped out of that machine, it kept running like I'd never been there. I hadn't built a legacy. I'd rented a role, and the lease was up. That was 8 months ago. I still open that closet every morning. I can't explain why. Some kind of ritual. Some kind of punishment, maybe. The briefcase is still there, still perfect, still wrapped in its dust bag like it's waiting for a life that's never going to come. When I first bought it, I had plans. I thought I'd do consulting. I thought former colleagues would call me for advice over expensive lunches. I thought I'd mentor young executives who'd look at me with respect and say, "Tell me how you did it." I imagined carrying that briefcase into rooms where people still wanted me. Nobody called. Nobody asked. The briefcase just sits there on the shelf, and every morning the light from the closet catches those little dust particles floating in the air around it, and I can smell the leather, though honestly, even that smell is fading now. 8 months and the leather is losing its scent. Isn't that something? Even the newness is leaving. I have 4 bedrooms in this house. 4. I sleep in one. The other 3 have beds that have never been slept in. I make them anyway. Hospital corners. Perfect pillows for nobody. I called my daughter last Tuesday. She picked up on the 4th ring. She was polite. She's always polite. She asked how I was doing. I said fine. She said good. Then she said she was busy, that the kids had soccer, that she'd call me back this weekend. She didn't call back this weekend. And the thing is, I can't blame her. I can't. Because I taught her that. I taught her that people can be put on hold, that love is patient enough to wait in a queue. I taught her by example. Every single time I chose the office over her. She learned. She learned well. That briefcase is me. Do you understand that? It is beautiful, it is expensive, it is masterfully constructed, and it serves no purpose whatsoever. It was built for a function that does not exist anymore. That is my identity sitting on that shelf. Polished, impressive, completely empty. And here is where I stop telling you my story and start telling you yours. You. Yes, you. The one watching this right now. The one who worked late again tonight. The one who texted your friend, "Let's catch up soon," 6 weeks ago and never followed up. The one who thinks you'll reconnect with the people who matter after the next promotion, after the next raise, after you hit your number. Let me tell you something, and I need you to hear it with the part of you that still knows the truth. You are building a bank account. You are not building a life. And those are not the same thing. They are not even close. Stop measuring your worth by your net worth and start measuring it by something else, by something that actually matters. Ask yourself this question and answer it honestly. If you disappeared tomorrow, not died, just quietly vanished, how many people would notice by dinner? Not by next week, by dinner. How many people's daily lives have you woven yourself into so deeply that your absence would leave a hole they could feel in their chest? If that number is small, you don't have a money problem. You have a relevance problem. And no portfolio in the world fixes that. Nobody is going to beg you to stay in their life. I need you to understand that. People will let you drift. They'll say it's fine, and we understand, and next time. And they will mean it, right up until the moment they stop needing you altogether. You have to earn your seat at the table, not once, every day. Every single day you have to show up and be present, and be useful, and be kind, and be there. Not because they can't survive without you, but because you've made their life richer by being in it. Do it now, not next time. Now. Call someone tonight, not to network, not to leverage. Call them because they matter, and you haven't told them that in too long. Or don't. And one day, 20, 30 years from now, you'll buy yourself something beautiful to celebrate everything you've accomplished, and you'll set it on a shelf, and it will sit there, perfect and pointless, gathering dust in a house so quiet you can hear the clock on the wall, counting down the hours that nobody is asking you to fill. Trust me, I know. I open that closet every morning just to remind myself what a wasted life looks like wrapped in a dust bag.